once again, South Florida. Thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Safe Money with Len Strickler. He is one of the co-founders of the LS Financial Group. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. Len, it is great to see you. How you doing this week?
Good, doing great, doing great. Good to be here with you. We do our radio programs, and
yeah, good to see you. You don't have the headset on. We don't have our notes all in front of us.
And we're looking pretty good.
We had to look pretty for camera too, right? We get to just roll into the radio studio in there. But today's show is a really, really important program. This is tax strategies for today's modern retiree. How do we get yourself safe? I know the title of the program is Let's Talk Safe Money.
Right.
But I think one of the things is we want to talk about different places where we can get our money safe. It's not going from stocks to bonds. It's not going from only in your retirement account at work to managing it on your own. You've got a few different places. I think you like to call them even buckets and so forth. And we're going to talk about different strategies today. So, in part, a retirement planning tax strategy show, right, Len?
Absolutely. And, you know, of course, we do have a CPA on board, a co-founder with us, 𝗂𝗵𝗵𝗺. And so she does great tax work. Her and Art, you know, put some things together. But the way we kind of like to talk about the analogy is three buckets. And the first bucket is your taxable account. Okay, that would be anything, again, you get the love letter from, the 1099 from Uncle Sam, right? So you get that, but it's stocks, bonds, mutual funds that are not qualified. They're in there. Could be your bank account, you know, the different things that might be into there that's taxable. The middle bucket is your tax deferred bucket. We've been taught to defer, defer, defer. Right? So the 401ks, the SEP plans, the 403bs, whatever, teacher, TSR, whatever, TS, there's a number of different names. Right. But that's where you put that money that we call qualified money, okay? And it's getting tax deferred. So you're getting a deferred of taxes, okay, for as many years you get in there, okay? But here's the thing.
And then and deferred until when?
Until you take it out.
Okay.
Right? Now, here's the thing. What people don't understand. I had a gentleman come in the other day, and Art and I are working with him, and he said, man, I'm pretty excited. I'm getting ready to retire, and I got $700,000 in my 401k. And Art, looks at it, looks through it. He says, no, you don't. He said, what do you mean? He said, you got, and Art's over there doing something. And that's the master chef right of finance. And so he goes, no, sir. He said, you have exactly $537,000. He said, what? He said, well, you got a partner. And the guy goes, I don't have no partner. Yeah, you do. It's called the IRS. And you see, we don't think about this. Yeah. We've been deferring. You can't see it because it's coming out of you, pay or match, and you're just going along.
But that's what we've been socialized to do. Right. We've been told to do that for 30 or 40. So we've been programmed to say, look, if you put money here, you don't have to pay taxes on it this year. You get to keep more money in your pocket to go on vacation and do things and to live and to maybe save for the kids and go to college. We're going to have to pay that piper sometime.
You're going to have to pay the piper, and most folks don't think about it. So it hits them in the face when they get ready to retire. So one of the things that we can do is there's a tax-free bucket over here. And when I say tax-free, people go, yeah,
you're just going to give it to me? I want my tax-free stuff. You just give it to me, Len.
But inside that bucket, only two things go in there. Number one, Roth, anything Roth, okay, because it's tax-free when you take it out, and life insurance. Now, life insurance is not what you think. It's not for death benefit. We flip it upside down, okay? It's called indexed universal life. We've been talking about fixed index annuities. The index, you're not in the index, you're credited. Well, we do the same thing inside this insurance policy. Now, the IRS allows us a Carter to go through, right? So we know, and that's already calculated, if you don't have enough insurance, okay, the right amount, it's called a modified endowment. Now all of a sudden you're taxed. So we got to make sure we have enough money here, but it's a little bit of a death benefit, and then the rest of that thing is growing, okay, inside there.
Okay.
Now, the beautiful thing about life insurance, just like anything Roth, when you take it out, it's tax-free. Now, the thing is, we want to get money from that tax deferred bucket and move it over into this tax-free bucket. Now, how do we do that?
Is this what a lot of folks have recently been talking about, the Roth conversion?
Roth conversion.
We got to convert.
Right.
But what's the pain point on doing a conversion?
Again, the government got smart back in 2000, I think it was 11. They used to have, wouldn't let you do this. Okay, it was like penalties, and you couldn't even do it really. Now, all of a sudden, they got smart, and they said, wait a minute, we need some money for the coffers. But let's let them, go ahead and let them convert away. Because now guess what that does? You have to pay the taxes.
You got to pay the taxes now.
You got to pay the taxes now. But we do it over 3 or 4 years, okay, so it's not as bad. But the other thing we say, folks, is taxes are on sale. I mean, in the history of our country, we had an area of, after in World War II and up into the 60s, that if you made more than $200,000, it was 90-some%. We had a president, President Reagan, who did only 2 movies a year because he got paid $100,000 for each movie. After that, right, he would have to pay 90% in taxes. It was 92 or 3%. Unbelievable. So he just went to the ranch, rode his horses. I mean, he didn't make any more movies. But my point is, it has happened, folks, in our country. Okay, right now, taxes are as low as they've been in a long time now. If you're going to do something, folks, I would say, let's get going. Let's get this thing converting, get you over into this bucket, right? Because here's another thing. They just hired 84,000 IRS agents, and they're armed.
Well, I think it's 87,000, and it's like $80 billion is being earmarked.
Can you imagine? And folks,
so we're going to have IRS agents running around with rifles coming after you for taxes.
Can you imagine? Hey, you didn't pay your tax bill. Make my day, punk. I mean,
now they say theoretically they're supposed to be going after people over 400,000
think about
income.
that. Now, how many people, first off, are in that category? There's only 1% that are in that big category, okay? Does it take 87,000 agents to go after that percentage?
No.
Folks, those people already lawyered up. They already got all the loopholes. They're not going to get nothing there. Guess where they're coming? As always, the middle class, and they're coming after small businesses.
Right. So action time is right now.
If you're going to do this conversion, let's do it. Let's do it now.
All right, folks. So here's what we want to do. We want to get the first 20 callers right now to consider doing the Roth conversion. We call it on the radio show the Roth Conversion Challenge. What you want to do, bring in your retirement accounts, those tax-protected accounts. Think about it. You've got accounts that probably have $400,000, $500,000, maybe $1 million or more. You've been deferring taxes for 30 years. What's going to happen when you start drawing from those funds? What Len and the team want to do is take a look at your retirement accounts for you and see, does it make sense for you to pay those taxes right now? Yes, it's going to hurt. You're going to see the amount go down. But when the markets come back, if they come back, as you start to draw out on the returns that you've gotten back in those accounts, you get that tax-free, along with other benefits. Len will explain more after the break. Call us right now for the Roth Conversion Challenge. It is absolutely complimentary, but you need to ring us right here. 844-299-0355. More Let's Talk Safe Money with my buddy, Len Strickler, right after this.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Safe Money with Len Strickler. I'm your host, Spike Spangler, and we're talking about ways that we can fight the taxation storm that we see coming right now. We know that we're over $30 trillion, probably 31, 32 by the end of this broadcast. We had just talked a little bit about the Roth conversion. We want to challenge you out there right now at no cost to see, should you change over your current retirement accounts, those tax-deferred accounts. But the next thing I want to ask you about is, how do we hedge against this incredibly high inflation right now?
Yeah, that's obviously a big thing on folks' minds right now. I mean, this is really the most probably hedge inflation that we've had in
definitely in 40 years.
40 years. So it's unbelievable. And it's very, very high, very difficult on families right now. But one of the ways that we can hedge inflation, folks, is with a guaranteed lifetime income annuity. Now, there was a study, there's been a number of studies, okay, and there was 2 Nobel Prize economists, and both of these economists said that you do not have an optimized portfolio unless you have a guaranteed lifetime income annuity in it. Now, that's amazing. About all your other assets, that's fine, you can, but if you don't have this, because what you're going to do with this is you're going to cover your floor, okay? And so we want to make sure we cover that floor. So
when you say covering the floor, we're talking about covering our floor expenses.
Right.
Our groceries.
Correct.
Our travel. Not necessarily, you know, I mean travel, driving around and so forth. Not necessarily the holidays and so forth. That's a different bucket that you do set up and plan for. But making sure, you know, electricity, all the needs, our Social Security, our Medicare, all of those things. The floor. Getting the floor covered.
Right. That's right.
That doesn't mean that this is an all or nothing kind of solution. You're still investing other assets, liquid assets outside.
Well, you know, Spike, the book, you know, the book right there. You remember the book?
Here, I'm the hand model, the No Compromise Retirement Plan, written by your partner, Art
𝗺𝗺, right? And in this book, Art really goes into what we talked about earlier, right? We're talking about the Roth conversions, okay? He goes into that, okay, really in depth to show you folks how to do it. And he also talks about and shows you how to hedge inflation. And one of the ways we do that, folks, is we do it with, again, guaranteed lifetime income annuities, but we do it in laddering. We ladder these things. Now, I was talking about Dr. David Babel, okay? He did his dissertation, his PhD now, on how to hedge inflation, the exact title. And I've got his whole dissertation, by the way. You don't want it, folks. Trust me, unless you're a real mathematician, this thing is heavy duty. But he did do a summary that I send out to folks. But basically what he found is there's nothing out there today, nothing, that outdoes a guaranteed lifetime income annuity.
Yeah, okay. What about, come on, we got to talk about the investors out there. What about an efficient market hypothesis? What about timing the market? What about charts and graphs and candlesticks?
All that.
Come on, you're telling me there's no way to hedge against inflation by betting and being in the markets?
You just said you just said the word. What are you doing?
Oh, betting. Yeah, you don't like the gambling.
You're
part
gambling.
Of the
You're right at the table. I tell you guys to get out of the Wall Street casino, right? But here's a strategy for you. What he found is that he would found an annuity. Okay, let's say he put $100,000 in this one annuity and started getting income, right? Well, he set another one up, another 100, but it has an 8% step up. So basically, until you turn it on. Okay, once you turn it on, you got to take it. But if you don't turn it on, it just keeps growing every year, 8%. Next year, 8%. Say you wait 3 years, 8%. You just got all that percentage. You've just hedged inflation, by the way, because it's an 8% step up. Now you turn that one on. Well, then you get another one, okay? And then you may let that go for 4 or 5 years, and you turn that one on, but you just got all that. You see the idea.
So the laddering is the different stages. I honestly, I remember my grandparents talking about this, or actually hearing it from my parents. They used to ladder bank CDs.
Bank CDs.
Back in the 80s and early 90s, I think.
Back then on those things?
Well, they were getting that kind of 7, 8, even 9%, and you just can't do that. Yeah. So I've got a word in there that I'm a little uncomfortable with, a guaranteed lifetime. Guaranteed, because you also do have the securities portion of handling things. Right. How guaranteed? You're talking that you work with insurance companies that are A-rated?
It's just like Social Security, folks. It's guaranteed in that contract that you're going to get that money for the rest of your life. If you die, okay, if you live to 120 years old, you're going to get that same paycheck every single month, just like Social Security.
Okay. Now, you also just brought up something, though, that is sometimes one of the pauses, the pushbacks on somebody getting an annuity. What about if you pass away, let's say, 97 or 90 years old, and there's still value in there?
Well, yeah, if whatever's in there, whatever value's left in there, Spike, it goes to your heirs, to your beneficiaries, whoever you put as a beneficiary. Now, here's what some people are going to say, and it's true, that about year 12 or so, 15, you're going to run out of money. Okay? Well, you're right. So, if you want to give to your heirs, we usually say, folks, that may not be the best thing for you if you're doing a single annuity. But if you're laddering these, okay, it's not so bad, because now remember, this one, you let it go 3 years and it's got money in it. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. The next one you let go 4 or 5. So in other words, the money's going to be there for your heirs downstream. So you're kind of cutting off. Yeah, you're cutting off that whole objection that says you're going to run out of money for your heirs. Well, if you ladder these properly, you won't.
Well, let me ask you this though: for folks who are trying to hedge inflation on their own, when our viewers are usually trying to solve this problem on their own, what would they normally do? I mean, when I'm trying to hedge against inflation, I'm thinking I'm just going to have to pull more money from my current accounts, and then, I don't know, take more risk and hope it recovers later down the road?
That's exactly right.
That sounds riskier to me.
It's very risky. It's very risky. And again, this inflation will eat you alive. It really will.
Right.
I mean, you've got to plan for it, folks. It's one of the risks that you got to get off the table.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we're going to continue to talk about solutions that you do at the LS Financial Group with Art. Art, who wrote this wonderful book here. We can get a complimentary copy of this book to you. But what we want to do with this is have you call the phone number so you can get a complete retirement review with Len and the team. We're happy to give you the book, but come on in, call the phone number here, and you'll get a complimentary copy. We'll take a look at your investments, your taxes, your Medicare strategy, Social Security. We'll mention a little bit about this when we get back from the break as well. How does Social Security fit with the rest of your income drawdown strategy and legacy planning? Are you going to leave money to anyone? So if you'd like a complimentary copy of the book, The No Compromise Retirement Plan, at least that's what I believe it says. Yes, I got it right. And let's talk safe money with Len Strickler. When we get back after this, we're going to talk a little bit more about Social Security, that Roth conversion. Call the phone number you see right here to get a complimentary copy of the book and your own retirement review. 844-299-0355. More Let's Talk Safe Money with Len Strickler when we get back right after this.
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place and then help determine if you're well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. You wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision, so why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you're getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Safe Money with Len Strickler. If you would like to get a complimentary copy of Art's book, it's Len's partner at the firm, Art Athanas, The No Compromise Retirement Plan, and get your own complimentary review on your retirement strategy, call the phone number you see right here, 844-299-0355. Len, I have a caller question for you here, right here in South Florida. I'm excited about it. Yeah, we haven't done this in a little bit. It's always a fun segment. And there's so much in this one. Here we go, Len. My husband, Rich, hi Rich, is going to retire next year at 67. Her name is Rachel. It's Rich and Rachel. I love that. I'm planning to retire the following year at 65. What should we be doing differently with our investments as we get ready to retire? We have approximately $1.3 million in our 401ks. That sounds great. And we have about $200,000 in a Roth IRA. What should we do? Are we ready to retire?
Wow, that's a great question.
That's pretty much what you get every day in the office, isn't it?
Well, again, lots of information that we don't have there. Okay, but one of the things we would want to do, that's a considerable amount of money that these folks have done. They've done a good job there. But again, it would be, you need to come in and let us do a complete retirement readiness review plan. That's exactly what we do. It's a hard thing
to figure out because wasn't 1 million that number, that magic number that everybody used to want to hit for retirement? It's like, look, we've got $1 million, now we're set. I think the problem with the number of 1.3 million and then another 200,000 in a Roth, so 1.5, 1.5, that's very nice there. It's what do they spend every month?
Right.
What is their lifestyle? So do you look at retirement planning as more of setting up a budget or more asking lifestyle questions first?
Well, certainly, lifestyle. You want to know exactly what the client, what their plans are, their goals are, right? You got to have that in the analysis, of course. The other thing, we don't know where that money is. Is that 1.8 million or 1.3 or whatever it is in the stock market? Is it in bonds? Where is it? We've got to review that, right? Take a look at it. We're going to go through the income analyzer with them, right? Make sure their money's going to go the distance. Will that money be enough? $1 million used to be a lot, like you said.
Yeah.
Anymore, not a lot. Particularly,
well, especially here in South Florida, especially in this high inflationary environment, especially because the markets are down.
And taxes. So we got to look at all that, okay? Because folks, that 1 point whatever is not going as far as you think it is.
Right. So
but we can help it and stretch it if we do the right things.
This is probably, I don't know, you tell me, pretty typical of what you see. 1.3 in their 401k, 200 in a Roth IRA. That's not quite balanced. This is exactly what you were talking about in the last segment. This all tax deferred. Is this somebody who you would want to consider for the Roth conversion?
Absolutely. That would be another, we want to put you through that analysis, okay? Very much could be one for a Roth conversion.
Now
we don't want to jump them into another tax bracket.
I was just going to ask you that. Do we do this all at once, or is this a little bit at a time?
We're going to do a little bit of a time, but the other thing, Carrie, because she's a CPA with us, right, and Art do, is they take a look at that because when we do this, we don't want it to bump them because that's going to come over as income. We don't want to bump them up into another tax bracket. I mean, they got to pay the taxes.
Because if you did 1.3 million at once, well, I mean, not only do you have to pay all those taxes, but you would go up all of the tax brackets, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, you got to watch and make sure you don't bump them up. There's a strategy that they have, okay? And there's a software tool we use that will actually take and do, we call it the safe money Roth conversion tool.
Oh, okay.
And it actually is a tool, and we'll show you, here's what you're going to pay in taxes, okay? And oh, by the way, here's what you're going to do, right? Here's what you're doing currently. Here's what we can do to help you with a conversion. But not only that, we take a look at your whole portfolio, everything. And what the software does, what Art puts you through, when we do a complete plan for you, he will show you, here's your current strategy, here's your current investment, here's where you're going, here's where you're going to end up. Now, here's our recommendation, and let us show you where we can help you. And it's a beautiful thing. Now,
there's something that, Rich and Rachel here, they didn't bring up. And I know it's important to me, and it's important to you. We haven't talked about this in a few programs. I'm going to throw you under the bus here. I hope you don't mind, buddy, but you know me really well. But one thing they didn't mention in here was anything really about health care and long-term care.
Good point.
And even though they're 65 and 67, you have a very personal story of what happened to you and why long-term care is so important.
That's that's a tough one for me, as you know. It's hard for me to talk about even still. But I had my high school sweetheart of 45 years. I loved her. She's my best friend. And she came down, healthy, by the way, healthy. We had a new grandbaby, and we're just happy. And she comes down with frontal temporal dementia. It's kind of under that umbrella of Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, Lewy bodies. And anyway, she got it at 55, and she was gone at 62. And watching that, I had to put her in a facility. I tried to caregive Spike for 2 years. You just can't.
Oh, I know. And I know that people emotionally, you want to support. Financial support.
I don't say that because of woe Len, okay, folks? I don't. Because, listen, there's a whole lot of folks out there that got a lot more problems than we do, okay, than I do. But I say it from a financial perspective. One place I had her was $9,600 a month.
Yeah.
Now you take
this
that
is 1.5 million in assets.
You know what?
But at almost $10,000 a month,
that, it would have eaten that up.
Yeah, and you could be in a facility for 5 years,
That's right.
6, 10 years or longer. This is why it's important, even with a large amount of assets, to consider long-term care and long-term care strategies.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're super wealthy. I mean, if you got plenty of money and you can fund it yourself, I mean, I get it, but most folks don't. Most folks that we deal with, are in that kind of spot where they have a couple $100,000 401k IRA, on up to, maybe $2-3 million. I mean, that's kind of where we go. But one of the things that they have now, and what I like about some of these new annuities, is they have long-term care riders, okay, that come into the policy. And it's a beautiful thing. And it really could help. That kind of thing would have helped me tremendously.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that part. One last thing before we wrap up today's program is we were talking about things, and this is a wonderful actual couple and example to talk about here. Again, over $1 million, but estate and legacy planning. This is a nice time to be able to talk about it. But one of them, it would be wonderful, as you say, if we both lived to the age of 100 and pass away peacefully together, but likely one will pass away before the other.
Right.
And it's, what do we do with those assets? How do we title those assets? Where do they get placed? Who was in charge of the investments? This is exactly the kind of couple that needs to talk about estate planning.
Absolutely,
correct?
Absolutely. And we have an attorney that we work with. That's all she does is estate planning and really her market is where we are in our niche. Okay, pre-retirees, retirees. She comes to a workshop sometimes and will do a session. But yeah, I mean, we got to figure out how to take that off the table. I mean, absolutely have to figure it out, the long-term care. But in that, the estate planning, it's like if you have a gully here, let's say, a ditch, and here over here on this side, here you are, you and your wife, and here over here is your house, your kids, and everything, and you want that money, the money's over here with you, and you got to get across this, you got to make a bridge, get across this dip here, and then you want it to go where you want it to go. Because, folks, if you don't do that, it's going to go into probate. And now some judge
that's what I was going to ask you. How do most people solve estate planning on their own?
Even if you have a will.
Right.
If you have a will, it's not enough.
That is a public document.
Trust. That's right. You want a living trust. It's not a public.
So the difference between working with a professional is knowing where your funds are going to go, you getting to decide rather than the state.
Right.
Or a court.
Or a court, some judge, or some
It's
attorney.
being able to, and everything we were just talking about, while Rich and Rachel, this is a wonderful question. It's about being able to allow you to retire with dignity, to retire with choice, and making sure that your estate, meaning your savings, goes exactly where you want it to go. Len, should I give away the book again for the folks out there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for writing in for your questions. Len, wonderful program again. We're going to be back again next week. Folks, get a complimentary copy right here, the No Compromise Retirement Plan. It's written by Len's partner, 𝗺. He joins us sometimes on the radio show. He's hiding back there in the wings somewhere. But you can also get your complimentary retirement plan review, which will take a look at everything, your investments, your taxes, your estate planning, your medical care needs. And all of that is complimentary from Len right here by calling the phone number, 844-299-0355. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Safe Money with Len Strickler. We'll be back again next week.